So we are recording this at this point. There's everybody else I think knows all the stuff. You don't talk unless you present who you are. And so the meeting's starting at 2:07. And I don't know if everybody knows Lauren. Does everybody know Lauren?
No, I don't.
So why don't we go around and introduce ourselves? I'm Peter Mason. I am the overseeing the ARPA initiative as a retiree.
And I'm Pam Fields from Mid-State ARC, and I'm the co-chair of this committee.
Hi, I'm Brian Holmes, parent.
I'm Heather Latora from Marrakesh Incorporated.
And Kathy is on.
Yeah, I'm Kathy Bobensky. I'm a parent.
Okay.
Is Carly with you?
Carly's in the background here.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Now introduce yourself there, Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Gray. I'm the communications manager at DDS, helping to communicate about our STEP initiatives and other DDS projects we have going on.
We're very fortunate to have it. She's been a great addition to us. So
Thank you, Peter.
why don't we start with you then?
Okay, great. This is Lauren Gray with DDS, and I'm going to share my screen and quickly walk through a few updates. One second. This is, if you haven't visited the DDS website in a while, I highly encourage you to do so. We have updated our STEP page, and it's ct.gov/step. Or if you're on the home page, you can get here by clicking the second link, STEP. Or if it's on the left-hand side navigation always in this gray box under STEP. But on the STEP page, I did just want to walk through a few updates. So we have regularly been updating this page, and please check it often for updates. But we have a little bit about what STEP is for people who still aren't familiar with our STEP initiative, supporting transformation to empower people. We move into the 7 core supports that STEP is highlighting right now, and new developments over the past couple of weeks. If you click in each one of these 7 core supports, you'll see a quick definition and a fact sheet about each one. So the fact sheet is very similar. It follows a very similar format for each of these, but it helps people understand what these supports are. So there's a definition, how it works or how it's staffed. And then the fact sheet move into the benefits, potential challenges, and how you can learn more. And I hope this is really helpful for everyone who is learning more about the 7 core supports. So if you're on the STEP website, again, you can click into each of these supports, see the definition, see the fact sheet in English and in Spanish, and how to learn more. Then that goes for each one of these. I would highly encourage everyone to walk through these to be able to explain more and learn more about each of these services. They're very thorough, and definitely encourage people to learn more by visiting our website or talking to your case manager.
And then the videos are going to go with there as well, correct?
Yes, when the videos are available, they will be hosted here and on YouTube and our social media, so you'll definitely be able to find them. In addition to those fact sheets, we also have STEP information for individuals and families that includes a STEP fact sheet. If you ever need help explaining what STEP is, again, STEP is supporting transformation to empower people, the 7 core supports. And then I hope this information is helpful to how does STEP impact me? How can I take the next step to learn about the more core seven supports, and then other places to learn more information that includes events, forums, our newsletters, just a lot of different resources. New this week are the regional summer virtual office hours. So if you do have questions, comments, or ideas, or just want to have conversation about STEP, you can join these virtual office hours to talk directly to regional leadership about STEP and your own supports. If you click into, and if you don't know your region, we put the regions page here so you can look at the town map and figure out what region you're in. But you can click into each of these and you'll see the date and how to join the Microsoft Teams meetings. And we're hoping people, again, will attend these just to give some feedback or learn more or ask questions about STEP. We also our quarterly newsletters also live here. You'll see these on this page for STEP resources. And as far as like other communications that are going on, we're really encouraging people to sign up for our e-newsletter to receive monthly email updates. So if you click here from the STEP email updates, or you can always click over here to encourage other people to subscribe for email updates on the left-hand side. And that goes to the newsletter. So definitely encourage everyone to sign up. We do send out the monthly emails. And we are also more actively engaging and posting on our social media. I don't know what I just did. Oh, hold on. I accidentally, I was testing that out earlier. Sorry. But we are on Twitter at CT_DDS, and we're retweeting and posting updates from the regions and from DDS overall. And we're also posting on Facebook as well. And this is a great way to share some of our news and updates and see what is going on as well. So those are a few of our communications items. And next up this September, we will have another newsletter being mailed out to individuals and families and providers. We'll also be hosting community forums with the commissioner for people to join and give feedback and ask questions. So, really still trying to get the information out there about STEP and receive feedback and answer questions.
Lauren, do you want to talk about some of the trainings that we had and
Yeah, so
attendance?
yeah, of course. So recently in June last month, we held provider trainings and staff trainings. They were very well attended from each of them. We also got really good feedback that the trainings were helpful in walking through what STEP is, what it impacts, and how staff and providers can be more involved. We there was really, I can't remember the exact provider attendance, but there were definitely like over 50 people at each of them. And for the staff ones, we had over 100 staff members at each of the staff trainings. So we had 6 trainings total, 3 for providers, 3 for staff. And we're really encouraging everyone to continue to learn more, stay engaged, and stay informed.
And in terms of next month, we're going to do a couple more trainings too, correct?
Right. So next month internally, we are doing 2 trainings and review. So we're doing an all staff training about STEP resources that are available, like the fact sheets, like the upcoming videos, the provider documents. We're going to be walking through each of those resources for staff so that they become even more familiar with them and that they can use those to ask questions. We have FAQs, we have so many provider documents and trainings. So we want staff to be able to use those as a resource. And we also have a case manager specific training to review case manager educational materials and FAQs, fact sheets, just making sure staff and case managers, resource managers have all of the resources they need and that they know where they are.
Lauren, when you talked before the last trainings you did, you said over 50 providers. Was that at each of the 3 trainings? Because I know you said there was over 100 staff at each of the 3 trainings, or was it 100 for all 3 and 50 for all 3?
So it was 50. There were definitely over 50 people at each of the 3 provider trainings, and for the staff ones, there were over 100 people at the staff ones. And at the case manager specific training we held, there were over 200 case managers that attended the specific case manager training.
That's awesome.
The last training we did for the staff, it was on provider creativity.
Mhm.
And we did that for the staff, not for the providers, because we wanted to make sure that staff are keeping an open ear and an open mind to this. And we had, at one point, we had 180 people on there. So we really are trying to get this word out there. And some people, you're always going to have those that follow their own drum. But for the most part, we're getting very positive about people. So
Yeah, I know at the first staff training we had 196 people attend. Again, at the case manager one, I know at one point we hit 230 people in the case manager training. So like Peter said, again, this is Lauren Gray with DDS. We are really trying to reach as many people as possible. And if any of the providers missed or want to access the trainings, I put a link in the chat. On the provider gateway under STEP documents, in the category training session resources, you can see the recordings and the presentation slides if you missed it, or if you want to go back and review the provider training sessions.
Thank you. That was awesome.
And I'm happy to answer any other questions, or if you have any feedback about what you've been seeing. If not, like I said, I definitely encourage people to sign up for our DDS newsletter. Feel free to share that link around and visit the STEP page often for updates and additions.
Thank you, Lauren.
thanks, Lauren.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all. Thanks for having me.
Okay, what's next?
So I think the other 2 on there, I didn't know if we had any updates from Deloitte or McDowell.
Well, Lauren basically did the stuff for McDowell, and I'm going to basically do the stuff for Deloitte.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off with, let me sharing my screen. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yep.
Yes, Peter.
So we have 12 approved plans. In an unbelievable fact, we have 4 from the north, 4 from the south, and 4 from the west. I don't know how that happened, but talk about being evenly split. So that's great. So you'll see here that we have the number of individuals that are part of those initiatives, the day maximum incentives that they could earn for the day, the number of residential individuals involved, the residential max, and then the total amount that we reserved for the incentives. So at this point, we reserve somewhere around $6.7 million for this. And this is that 84 individuals from the day would move from a congregate day program or a GSE to a DSO to a GSE or to their own employment. So it's a mixture in there. And then for the residential individuals, those are individuals moving out of a CLA or a CRS and moving into into an apartment setting. We have one agency out in the West that is doing basically a agency-wide reshuffle. And as you can see, they have 16 individuals that right now are currently in a CRS that they're moving into their own apartments. They're looking at some of those CRSs, they're looking at closing, but the other ones they're looking at restructuring them for individuals who have more significant or medical or behavioral needs. You can see that we have a wide range. Some are just 3 individuals, and you get up to one in the South that has 25 individuals for the day. So it's all over the place, which is great. And one of the things I wanted to show is our goal had been 200 individuals for the day. And with the 84, that would be 42% of our goal. And if everyone gets placed, there's still a long way to go. But and then for residential, our target was 100 individuals, and we're basically at 32%. So we're basically a third way there. For where we are now, I'm really excited. You'll see that we have a total of about $24 million, and we've allocated now just about a quarter of that for these moves. Now, these are the maximum reserves. That doesn't necessarily mean the provider will get all of them. It also doesn't mean we just had, and I'll get into this in a little bit, we had our Appendix K was approved and are amended. So that means that there'll be some more money that's available to some of these providers as well. And so that's not factored in, but this was before the Appendix K. So I think we're moving along. And I keep saying this to people is that this may not come to fruition, but in my head, if I was a provider and I saw some of these numbers, I'd be looking at how do I jump into this. And we may get to the point, we're not there yet, but if we could get to the point where we would have to start prioritizing providers in terms of what the plan looks like, depending on how much money we have allocated our reserve and stuff. So anybody have any questions on that?
Great numbers. And I'm excited about the Appendix K.
Yeah. So that's I'll just get into that. Yeah. Does anybody have anything regarding this? Because I'll go into the Appendix K next.
And
No.
do you know how many plans you still have left? Oh, I'm sorry, it's Heather from Marrakesh. Do you know how many plans you have in the hopper waiting to get approved?
Right now we don't have any in the copper. We've done everybody at this point. We're hearing from a number of people that they're working on theirs. So we're just trying to wait to see as those come in. These were all from the first phase. So now that we've gone through the training and stuff, we're hoping that we'll start seeing stuff, towards the end of the summer, additional people. I noticed I saw your plan come in, Heather, so.
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes, hi, Lori Coughlin. I'm just wondering what the time frame is for these individuals to actually transition to their own apartments on the residential side.
It's all over the place. We have some people have already been placed into their own apartments, and we have others that they look like they're going to be someplace in the middle of 2024. So it all depends on where they are in in the transition plan and where they are in terms of their skill level at this point.
Okay, and one more question for the agency that has 16 individuals. So they are closing the CRSs, or they might be keeping them open for higher needs individuals. Is that correct?
It's a mix. It's a
Okay.
mix. You know, that some providers are looking at this as an opportunity that, you know, the house is old, they can't get the lease again, so they're looking at that way. And then others are looking at how do they restructure it and have additional people come into those places as well. So it's a mix. So I believe it was like two. I want to say like they were closing like 2 of the 6 or 7 houses, something like that. 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I was just curious. Thank you, Peter.
sure. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. My workmate just came by. Anybody else have any questions? No. Okay. Let me get out of here. All right. And next. Let's see. I gotta see what I did. Oh, okay. So the Appendix K was approved. So we're all excited about that. And so what that does for us, this goes retroactive. So providers, one of the things it did is it added an outcome payment for day providers. Before it was just for residential, but now we have an outcome payment for individuals who move from a congregate day setting to their own or to an employment setting. That will be, I believe it was like 15,000, 15,500, something like that. I don't have that off the top of my head. And so that makes that even. Before we just had it for the outcome payment was for residential. So that we're pretty happy about that. Anybody who puts a plan in as well, we will be paying providers for the plan, and that will depend on some criteria. So depending on how large the plan is for, we'll be submitting, we'll be doing a payment for them. So if it's a couple of programs, it'll be one thing. If it's 3 programs, it'll be another. So we'll be looking at the number of programs that will identify. We're also now have incentivized a couple of outcomes. So if in your plan, you're looking at restructuring a residential setting to support new individuals with specialized or complex medical or behavioral or clinical needs. So let's say you have a group home of 4 and you move 4 people out, and now you're going to take 4 individuals back that have more significant medical or behavioral needs. There'll be an outcome payment for that. In addition to the outcome payment of the people moving out, there'll be an outcome payment for those moving into that place. It's the same thing with day. If you're restructuring a day program to provide new supports that focus on employment-based services. So if you didn't have it before, but now you're doing that, we're trying to encourage that. And for day also, if you have a program that you're now going to support individuals with more complex behavioral medical needs, we'll then have an outcome payment for that. And lastly, if it's looking at ending a sub-minimum wage arrangement, we'll be having an outcome payment for that as well. So we're really trying to incentivize some of these pieces. You know, we heard from families and about, you know, well, what's in it for individuals who have more significant needs. That's why we're doing this. These outcome payments is to help to provide an outcome payment to the provider so that will help them to make that shift for providing supports to people who have more complex needs. Some of the other things that are in here, we have a national core indicator survey that we do. It's done, and what that does, it's a workforce survey trying to find out, the number of staff and how much get paid. It's always been voluntary. It still is voluntary, but then if a provider does do it at this point, we will then give them a nominal fee. I think it's like $2,500 to complete the survey. And a couple other things that we've put in here is that we are trying to do some incentive payments for providers to do some certain training. So if somebody sends their staff and to get accredited for supported employment, customized employment, that we would then be able to provide them an outcome payment for that, and the same if they do some training for assisted technology. So we'll be sending out more details on that, but I just wanted to give you some of the things that we've done to try to encourage additional training and additional outcomes.
Peter, is it only customized employment, or is it also things like the I forgot the name of it now. The one
acres training. There's acres training.
When we're doing those, where we're taking grads and placing them in internships, Project Search.
The Project Search isn't part of that because there's not a certification to it. This is for the staff. So we'll be sending out more stuff, but it's the actual training for the staff, not setting up a program. It's the actual training for that.
So the certification for assistive technology would be their ATPs we're talking, or is it different levels of certification that fall in that that training?
It would be, the let's see, certification is such as Connecticut Association. No, that's that one. To go through the shift training that we have, or RESNA training, it's to get that training that you just said, the ATC or whatever it is, I forget.
Are they only recognizing RESNA, or are they also allowing the one out of California at the CSUN?
We will be recognizing that as well.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Yep. We'll be sending out more specifics for each one of those initiatives, but this is just, you'll be seeing a email that will be going out that will be just giving a broad thing of it, and then we're going to go into more of the details.
I know that I heard a rumor. This is Pam Fields from Midstate. Sorry. I know I heard a rumor that there was possibly going to be some funding to cover those certifications. Do you know if that's in the works at all, or?
Well, that's why each person that gets trained, you will get a certain amount of money. I don't have it off the top of my head. Keith, do you have? Keith's not there. I'll have to get all that stuff, and I'll get you the specifics. But there is money for each person that should pay. That should be enough to pay for that, and a little bit more.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
That is awesome. That is good news.
Yep. Heather.
Hi, it's Heather from Marrakesh. I just wanted to clarify. So when we're taking people that have medically complex or behaviorally complex needs, is that has to be part of your plan to get that credit? So we can't just take people, it's not by the person. So if there's an emergency referral and we take them into a home, because we are through attrition transforming that home to be that way, is there a...
Has to be an approved plan, unfortunately, yeah. There's not much, there's not way it would just be a free fall out there, so it has to be part.
The way to avoid that is to look at the people that we're trying to place and do it by the person, because it's hard to say, okay, well, these 6 people I'm moving out, and so it's happening. Whereas as things open up and people do move out or whatever, or we have a vacancy and now we're looking to get the expertise to do this, and we're taking people, we're admitting people into different programs that have this need. Yeah, I'm trying, hopefully our plan is vague enough to address that, because, yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I'm sorry. I'm on the
all right.
committee. I should be a great role model, but
Yeah.
it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. We're definitely doing what you're asking us to do. It's just putting a plan in place with people's, it's just, that part's hard.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
are taking people in.
I mean, this whole thing was, with CMS was we were trying to transform the system. So yeah, individuals are part of it, but it was working with providers to change how they do things. And so that's why it wasn't, though everything's supposed to be person-centered, the incentives are for the provider because it's a system change that we're trying to do. If we could reworded it differently, we could have done that, but we went with what we could do.
Just, we've been filling out that NCI report forever. We've been taking people in and transforming homes for a long time. We've been moving people to IHS for a long time. So it should be so easy to submit a plan and
So the
show it, but
NCI and the 2 training things does not have to be part of the plan.
Right.
Those are separate.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Laurie, was that for me or for?
Yeah, yeah, actually.
Or did you see something on the screen you didn't like? I don't know. I
No,
couldn't
actually,
tell.
I'm trying to formulate a question, Peter. The assistive tech, I know we've had training, provider training. How many agencies out there are comfortable with like smart homes? Because I know there's some agencies, I know, Pam, I know your agency is.
No, I was going to take the question and just say,
Oh, okay.
we're all learning. We're all at different stages. Some agencies are just getting into it. Other agencies have been working on it for years and years. So it's all different levels. And it's something that you have to change and build the culture in your agency. So it's not just an easy, okay, we're going to get into this and it sticks. Sometimes what happens is you have someone in your agency who's really techie. So they push it and you get into it and all of a sudden that person leaves and there's no one to pick up that ball. So you start all over again. So some of us agencies have gone through that piece of having to restart as you have new people until you've built a culture where it's just stable now in the agency. So even if I left my agency, the assistive technology would stay in the agency. But it takes years to build that culture. It really does. But I have not really seen many providers that are not engaging in that. There's a couple, but very few that are not. Most people are doing it and they're all at different levels.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why we're trying to incentivize the staff to get trained. I mean, it's like really to get as many people to be comfortable with it so that they understand what the capabilities are and what they can do and how they can use it. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And just as an FYI, we were looking at, we were going to do training for private providers, and it then came out to, which place do we use and have to go through an RFP process. It was going to be much more difficult to do. So we felt that this was the easiest way is to give it to the providers and say, here, go ahead and, train your staff and we'll then reimburse you that way. We do have, we will be training about 100 of our DDS staff. They actually will be going to the California place as well to get training. So that to get the certification. So, the more we have, the more people that understand what this is, the more comfortable people will be, and the more, we're hoping it will be used in the way that will help support the people the most.
Okay. So there's certain agencies or certain companies you're using specifically for the training for these certifications?
Yeah, this one is what's the title there? CSUN?
Yeah, it's something like the University of California that has a program. There's one there. RESNA has one that's very, very difficult. It has a high fail rate for RESNA. It's really hard.
Really? Okay.
To get through that. We just had somebody pass that, and she has a master's in assistive technology, and she was on the edge, not knowing if she was going to make it, but she got it. And then there's another one. Both of those require graduate degrees in order to get into them at the levels. RESNA is a little different, but the CSUN one, you have to have a bachelor's. There's one out of Chicago that you can take if you don't. And it's a 2-year program to get that certification. So there's just a variety of different kinds depending. And then we do, through our tech center, we do some training that we've partnered with Mike Murata out of New Jersey that helps teach people that too. So once they get out, it will help walk them through and start to learn how to do it. And it's really, we work as a team and have peer mentoring and going on to help people get that level.
Oh, wow. So you're saying the certification is like a 2-year degree?
Some of them are longer. So with the RESNA one, there's tests that you have to take. You already have to have, they prefer that you have a bachelor's degree, like in special ed or something with assistive technology. If you don't, you can still get it, but it's going to take you a lot longer to go through the process. You have to pass the test, and then you have to have thousands of hours of assessment time in order to get certified for the RESNA. Now the CSUN is different. The CSUN, you're taking classes and you come out certified, and the one in Chicago, you take classes and come out certified. But the RESNA one, you actually have to have boots on the ground and have been doing the work for probably years before you would qualify to even be certified. That's almost like the highest certification in the country.
So the goal is to have someone at each agency certified so that it trickles down to staff, or several people certified?
You can get certified at other levels, like the shift training is not that difficult. You can take those classes, it could be 20 hours and you're getting certified in things. Okay. So it's at different levels. Those certifications are really for us, more for assessment and really pushing the whole level. And if you're going to, it's important, I think each agency has somebody like that. I don't think it's required, but it's going to help your agency reach a different level when you have somebody like that.
Okay.
Yeah, the state, this is Peter Mason. We set up it's a course just for DDS staff, and that's going to start, I think, August 25th, and it goes till the middle of December. It's once a week, and there's tests and there's projects they have to do. They, at the end, they'll be able to do assessment, though our more concern is that people will know when they see assessment what it means and what that should be, and help people move forward and stuff. Yeah.
So Peter, who would be offered that training? Would that be offered to the case managers or the case manager supervisors, or all of the above?
All of the above. Yep.
Oh, good. That sounds great.
And we're also trying to add our abuse and neglect liaisons, so that they start understanding what assistive technology is, and so they're more comfortable when they see that in terms of an allegation. And is it this person was left alone? Well, not really, because he had this kind of technology. So we're trying to get them involved as well.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you.
The shift training,
Okay,
sorry, I just wanted to add, the shift trainings are really good for all levels of staff, starting with direct care staff up. So there's certifications just for the DSPs to be familiar with it. And then there's a different level for like management and a different level for administration. So they really do have different levels depending on where you are in the agency.
And how do you go about obtaining that? So for instance, I work with some families and we're always trying to think outside of the box. If I wanted to take the shift training, where would that be offered?
You'd go to their website and just sign up for it.
Oh, just
And
sign- okay.
there's a fee. There's a fee. It's not
Okay.
cheap. It's a fee, but we've had, I think we've had over almost 20 people in our agency trained in shift in different levels.
Okay.
So the DSPs, it's only a 3-hour training, where your management, it may be a 16-hour training. And
Right.
when I went through it and I had to do a transition plan, it was probably over 20, 25 hours. So it really depends on who you want to learn what in there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's a great training. It really is. I learned something when I went in. I was surprised, but I was like, okay, I learned a lot. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Technology comes up a lot with families, and
Yeah.
I'm somewhat familiar with it, but not to any in-depth degree, so I have limitations myself. So I was inquiring about that. Perfect. I will look at it. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, if you have any other
Nope.
questions, Lori, don't hesitate to call. I can try to point you in the right direction.
Okay, Pam, great. Thank you.
okay, so I will continue. So let me see, I'm gonna share my screen again. Can everybody see this?
Yep.
So as our Deloitte came up with a bunch of recommendations and a number of action steps. And what we've been doing over the last month and a half is to break that down and then establish owners for this and a timeline. So some of these, one of the goal here was, I'll just do the first one, is to support individuals to understand their options. And so the action step is to support individuals to tour potential future sites with assistance from providers. And we have Shannon. Who's Shannon? Oh. We have Shannon O. Don't know the last name all of a sudden. That's an elderly thing.
Shannon O'Brien.
Huh?
O'Brien?
Shannon O'Brien.
Shannon
Yeah,
O'Brien.
Shannon
Thank you.
O'Brien.
Shannon O'Brien. Shannon O'Brien. She's a regional director. So she's going to be developing how do we institutionalize this so that we make sure individuals are able to see this over and able to tour different places so that they can start seeing what's out there. So when the decision comes, they have actually an understanding of what they would be looking at. And you'll see we'll have this what we think the start date is and to completion. So like 3/1. We had to do this within the staffing that we have to make sure that we could do what we wanted, what we said we would do. So we've assigned owners for each one of these and timelines, and some of them will be asking providers to help in terms of how to complete these. So these are all the different activities that will be done, and each person has an owner to them. And so we're moving forward. The department's in the for those who don't know, I mean, my stint is up in December. And so somebody will be needing to take over. So they're working on that now, and that person then will be the owner of, they'd be the the owner of all the owners, and making sure that this gets done. Anybody have any questions? I know we shared this with everybody before, but this was just to show you where we're at this point.
This is great. I hadn't seen it before, so it could have been one of the meetings when I wasn't here.
Okay. Let's see. I'll stop sharing that. And so Deloitte's been helping us with that transition to the transitional outcomes. And so they've been a big help in trying to make it a way that we can report out to it. One of the things that also that we're looking at trying to encourage is for providers to go through the technical assistance that Deloitte does. Deloitte's been providing a chance for providers to meet on a weekly basis. It's usually on Fridays. They usually have some kind of topic they go over, and then it's an open, anybody can go and ask questions. That's like a formal one, but providers also can call Deloitte and set up their own one-to-one technical assistance meeting. And we've heard from a number of individuals and providers who said that that was really helpful. So we're looking at trying to make sure that people take advantage of it. We're paying for it, so we want to make sure people take advantage of it. But I will show you what will be coming out. And let's see if I can do this one. Share. Don't think I can. All right. I don't know how to share that one. I'm not that good. Okay. But what it is that there'll be a survey that they're going to be looking at establishing, and that will be sending out to providers that they'll be looking at how much step planning has your agency done, and there'll be a question: none, getting started, a little, some, a lot. They'll ask if there's any questions or if there's anything else they would like to know. And then based on those responses, if we don't hear from that provider, Deloitte will be contacting the provider to make sure that they know that there's technical assistance available to us. So we're going to be really pushing the technical assistance over the next couple of months. Anybody have any questions on that? The other thing that we're doing is we're working on a training for the quality assurance liaisons, the protection and advocacy liaisons, and licensing, specifically for them to make sure that they're educated about what STEP is, and that they understand, that individuals will be could be changing some of their support types, and if the IP didn't get updated in time, so that when they walk in and it says 24-hour one-to-one coverage, and all of a sudden now, there's the person's on their own for an hour as they start to learn independence, the provider doesn't get stuck with an abuse and neglect claim. So we're trying to set up that meeting. We've talked to each region now has a quality director, and that quality director will be the point person, so that if they have any questions, it would go to them. I want to emphasize, and we emphasize to the quality person, that this is in no way looking at mitigating any of our protection and advocacy, health and safety stuff. This is, there's an approved plan and this is part of the plan. So let's not drag the provider through the mud for implementing their plan. That's what this is about. And so we just want to make sure that we're trying to do all our education so that people understand, we're moving in this direction. As I said earlier, we're having the P&A people go to the training for assistive technology so that they understand what it is. And we know that we have some individuals out there who have their own notion of what assistive technology is, and sometimes that's positive and sometimes that's negative. So we're trying to make sure that we can educate people as much as possible. Let's see. Some other things, our rewarding work website is finally up and running. Everything is to put in there. And we have finally gotten with DSS, and so we will be doing a RFP that will then encompass a website for employment networking for both DDS and DSS individuals who self-hire their own staff. So my guess is that will probably take another year to get through the RFP process and up and running. But in the meantime, DDS has the rewarding work company that's been doing this. We'll be getting some more statistics, so next time I'll be able to bring that. We did do an AT RFP for assessments. And so we're still in the process of working through that, the decision piece to that. My guess is we have a couple, and then there's another one that we're looking at that will be able to do the whole state, and probably won't start until January by the time we get a contract written and approved by the AG's office. So we're probably looking at somewhere starting around January 1st. We had the AT conference. Did anybody go to that? Pam, I know you were there.
The
No,
problem happened because there wasn't enough room. So by the time the providers found out about it, it didn't start getting planned till January. And by the time the providers found out about it and went to sign up their staff, the attendance was closed. So like us, our AT team went, but I couldn't sign up any other staff because there was no room. So
yeah, I mean, we were kind of, this is being our first foray into that. We were limited to 250 people, and we wanted to make sure that we had individuals and families represented there. I know we ended up, I think out of the 250, it was almost, it was pretty even split between families, provider staff, and DDS staff. So we kind of did that. I think we'll learn from here as to what needs to be done in the future, but I've heard a lot of positive things about the training. So I wasn't there. I had to give up my slot in order to make sure there were other people who were looking to get in. I felt I was the least of the person who was priority.
so
Kathy, did I? Yeah,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Kathy, did I see your
we-
name
we-
up there?
Yes, Kathy Bobensky, parent, and Carly. We went to the conference and we enjoyed it. We learned a lot. We got to talk to a lot of people. Overall, we thought it was great.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
So we're in the middle of planning next year's conference, Peter. And it's going to be at the Omni in New Haven, so it will hold up to 500 people. So we shouldn't have the same issue, and we can have a lot of families and providers go and not have to shut it off.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, that'd be great if we do it every other year. You do your year, 1 year, we do ours. But well, so that's something to consider.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see, what else? The non-project based supported housing. So we've had an RFP for the non-project based, which means those project project-based is something that starts from scratch. So it's built from scratch up, and it's usually like about 2 years before it actually gets built. And so we did an RFP to look at if we could do this with apartment complex that's already been built. And so that's why we call it non-project based. We had 3 providers that were chosen. We're looking at doing that again, probably sometime in the fall, to expand that. I think, by the time people realize what we were doing and all that stuff, I don't know if we had everybody's understanding. So we'll be doing another one come the fall. I think that's really important because that then those are already built, so the timeline is just so much quicker. So
Yeah, Peter, if I could just, excuse me, share our experience. We have a non-project based supported housing project going in Meriden. It's been started right before COVID. And we weren't able to get into that project proposal because the management company wouldn't sign the agreement. They're doing it, but they wouldn't sign. It was just
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, they wouldn't sign. We're like, okay, well, but we're doing it. They've been doing it for years. I just thought it was interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's not as clean as a project based because you start right from the beginning and it's all gets set. So this is a little less clean, but if we can figure out how to do this, it will open up a lot more openings for individuals. So we're looking forward to that. And I think I have one more thing. Yeah, the last thing is that we had one of our charges is to look at our case management system. And so we've been working with OPM and DSS. And every time you do that, it just adds time to these. But we've decided we're moving forward. We hired a project manager and some business analysts that are going to go out and look at other states. We have about 7 states that do what we're looking for right now. And if that's the case, then we can look at purchasing it from them, which would be a whole lot simpler. And I'm not saying cheaper, but simpler because at least they're in the field and they know what they're doing. So we're looking at that. We're also looking at if there's any off the shelf that would help. That decision hopefully will be sometime late fall. So then we can determine what the next steps of how to purchase and install and start implementing it. My goal with this is to try to get it started and up and running, even if it's just a portion of it, before the ARPA period ends. Because once you get it started, then the state will need to keep going with it. Versus if we have nothing and there's a budget issue, that could be one of the things that's cut. So we're trying to look at how to do this in a calculating way. So.
And this is currently the camera system, Peter?
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, the idea is that my vision, and whether we'll get there or not, but my vision is that it would be all electronic, so that the IPs would be done electronically. It would then be attached to the authorization system. And so that when it says that Joe is going to be on a GSE for 5 hours, it will then, writing that from the IP then gets into the authorization system, and then it then writes the writes the authorization. The other piece that we want to make sure is, as it's being electronic, that providers would have access to the system, that individuals and families would have access to the system, so they could go in and be able to see their individual plans and notes, and all that stuff would be visible to them. So that trying to make it a more open and transparent system. Providers then would be able to go on and just print up the IP if that's what they want to do. It should be access to them. And if they need who's on authorizations, be able to jump into that system. So we're really trying to make it so that bring us into the 20th century. I don't know if it'll be the 21st, but we'll try to get to the 20th century. So anyways, so that's moving forward. And with that, that's all I got.
I think that's all the agenda.
All right, does anybody have any anything else that they would like to discuss? No? All right. Fantastic. Well, thanks, everybody. Our next meeting is going to be when, Pam?
Were we looking at every other month or?
This question, do you have to go or can I try for a couple
Yeah, we should probably look at the end of August, the
Okay.
next meeting. Because I think we were supposed to be June 29th. We pushed it off, so why don't we go to
Right.
August 29th?
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, so let me just pull that up just to look really quick. So
Whatever
August-
that date is, I don't know what that date
August,
is.
either the 24th or the 31st.
I'll go with the 31st.
Okay, got it.
And the thread on it is an M12 by 145.
All right. Anybody else? Brian, you were very quiet today. I don't know why.
It's used on a number of VWs also. It's
I
on-
can't get my thing unmuted there. No, I was listening. You had so much stuff going there. It was kind of overwhelming taking it all in. So it's very exciting stuff. I have one quick question on this assistive technology. How much goes into the security aspect of where the people are living? That's a question for Pam or Peter. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Putting our families out there in these places, how secure are they going to be?
It really is all individualized, Brian, based on the needs of the person. So they can be very comprehensive and detailed. The families can have access to the system to see. We have a dad who lives in Florida. He has access to his son's Ring camera. So he knows everyone that goes in and out of his son's house. So the parents and the families can have access to be part of that system if they want to. And it really, the security is as detailed as the person needs or as light as the person needs. We've done it both ways.
Okay.
So it really is individual based, the whole AT.
But I know that DDS is very concerned about, you know, the security and the hacking and all that stuff. And so, you know, that's definitely one of our questions is how, you know, how is this secure and what have you done in terms to keep this secure and stuff? So
Yeah, I'm speaking just from personally, and my 32-year-old daughter, if I'm going to put her out there, you know, it's kind of a worry when she's been under our roof for so long. But I'm sure I'm not the only parent feeling that. I'm sure, Laurie, you would feel the same. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's a concern for me with my kids. You
Yeah.
know, it's like,
Sure.
anything can happen. So yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. And every person who has assistive technology, they need to address all that and they need to have an emergency backup plan so that you're planning for everything that happens. And you want to make sure the systems you're using have those security levels you want and are protecting the person from people who are going to take advantage.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of the summer and we'll talk to you in August.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here.
Bye.
Bye.